Hey guys, hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So this particular video is a part of a series which has been started considering TIFR entrance exam into consideration. So in this series I'm going to take questions from topic wise from the previous years of TIFR exam, and the topic for today's video is organic spectroscopy. So I'm going to take some questions which has been asked in the previous few years of a TIFR exam, and we are going to see that how to solve them, how to approach the questions over here. The number of question I'm not fixing them up because of the lucid number of questions every year on the different topics. So yeah, that's why the number of questions is not going to be fixed, but yeah, you are going to get ample amount of questions to revise, to see and to practice of your own. All right, what you have to do after watching this video is you have to search for the official website of TIFR, download the previous year's papers and try to solve more questions from the similar topic. I am quite sure that you will be able to solve them. Now, without wasting any time, let's continue with our video. Alright, so we'll start from TIFR 2020 exam. The question over here is from your carbon 13 NMR spectrum, and this is one of the easiest questions which you are going to get from this particular topic. But the question is put up in a way so that it can confuse you a little bit. So it says that how many absorption peak will the following compound have in its carbon 13 NMR spectrum. Now if you look upon this, this particular carbon over here and this carbon over here are sp2 hybrid carbon, so there is no rotation along this carbon carbon double bond, which makes this particular, like this methyl group, all right, and this methyl group different from each other. So these two methyl groups become different from each other, and that is the cache, or that is the way how you have to see. So this is going to give you first peak. The second peak you are going to get from here. This is also carbon because you have to look upon the carbon. So this is the third type of carbon, fourth type of carbon, fifth, and basically sixth. So there are 6 different carbons, and all these carbons are going to give you different peaks in the carbon 13 NMR. And the reason is because there is no rotation along this carbon carbon double bond. So this methyl and this methyl are different, as this methyl is cis to the ethyl group and this methyl is trans to this ethyl group. All right, I hope this is quite clear. Let's go to the next question then. Okay, the question over here says identify the organic molecule which contains 66% carbon, 11% hydrogen. In infrared spectrum of the molecule, bands are observed at 2941 to 2857 and 1715 and 1640 centimeter inverse. Now these are the positions where you are given with the different peaks, and in proton NMR spectrum you are getting 3 signals which are appearing at 7.52 quartet with 2 hydrogen, 7.88 singlet with 3 hydrogen, and then you are getting at 8.93 at 3 hydrogen triplet, okay, in the ppm scale. So that means that overall you have like 2 plus 3 plus 3, so that makes your overall 8 hydrogen in the molecule. The carbon is 66.6%, hydrogen over here is 11.1%. Now don't get confused, these percentage are percentage mass, okay. So don't think that okay, the carbons are 6 times more than the hydrogen. No, it's not like that. The mass of the carbon, the mass of total carbon which you have is 6 times as the mass of the total hydrogen which you have. That's what it means. Now if you add them up, you are not going to get total of 100%. It will be roughly around 77.7%. We are still left out somewhere around 22.3%. So that 22.3% will correspond to the oxygen over here, okay. So that will be like 22.3%, okay. So yeah, roughly around that. So this is the percentage of oxygen in the molecule, because most of the options are only talking about oxygen, because ketone is there, alcohol is there, and aldehyde is there. Fine. So that is one part which we have done. Now the functional groups which are given to us is your butanol, in which you have alcohol over here, then you have butanaldehyde. So here you have CHO, that is aldehyde group, and then you have ketone. So these are the 3 molecules which we have. If you look upon all of them, IR is going to help you to solve this up, right? So if you look upon the IR, you are getting 2 peaks in the carbonyl region. One is at 1715 centimeter inverse and one is at 1640 centimeter inverse. It's not going to be butanol because it does not have carbonyl group. So you can just simply cancel out this option because you are getting peak in the carbonyl region, which butanol is not going to give you, right? Because of the absence of carbonyl group over here. Now in both of them you have carbonyl group, but here you have butanaldehyde. That means you have like CHO. Now this particular group or this particular molecule, you have aldehyde group, and aldehyde gives you peak around 1725 centimeter inverse unless and until it is conjugated or something. So that peak you are not getting. So that is making one thing sure that okay, IR is helping you to find out that butanaldehyde might not be the answer. And if I make ethyl methyl ketone, that is going to be like CH3 and CH2 and then C double bond O and then CH3. That is your ethyl methyl ketone. So this particular molecule is in the ketonic group, which can be because of this 17-15 centimeter inverse. Fine. Let's look upon the NMR. That is going to now like give us the exact answer. So let's talk about the splitting which we are going to get over here. Let's not look upon the chemical shift also, just talk about the splitting values over here, right? So if you just see the splitting values in this, so this particular carbon, okay, let me write it down. This is CH3, this is CH2, this is CH2. So here you are going to get a triplet, this is going to give you a multiplet, and this is going to give you a triplet again, right? So you are not getting two triplets and a multiplet, but here if you see, so this particular CH3 is going to give you a triplet, this CH2 is going to give you a quartet, and this is going to give you a singlet, which is exactly what we have. So we have one quartet, one singlet and one triplet, which satisfies our conditions, and option number A becomes the correct choice for this. So with the help of your this carbon, the percentage which are given, that tells us that there is one more element which is present. Then IR helps us to like nullify option number B, and then NMR helps us to identify the exact answer to reach out to the correct option. All right, let's go to the next question. Okay, again this is from TIFR 2019, and it says ki identify the compound whose molecular ion appears as the pair of equal intensity peaks at m by z of 112 and 124. Large fragment ion are seen at m by z of 43. Now if you see there, the difference in the, whenever you get some question over here like this from the mass spectroscopy, and where the peaks ratio of m and m plus 2 peak is given, then understand that there you are having some halide in the molecule, right? We all have studied about two halogens like two chlorines or two bromines in the molecule. Now they say that you get something of equal intensity. So that means we can say that the ratio of m and m plus 2 peak is 1:1. That makes that there is bromine present in the molecule. So bromine is there in the molecule. Now it can be either 1 bromopropane or 2 bromopropane, any of them can be there. So let's look upon them, that how we are going to understand. So let's make propane. So 1 bromopropane is CH3, CH2, CH2 and Br. And if you are looking upon this 2 bromopropane, so that is going to be CH3, CH, CH3 and Br. Now if you just remove this bromine, you are going to get the rest of the peak as 43. So yeah, that means ki in both of these you are going to get the peak at 43, base peak of 43 you are going to get, because that is going to be the most stable carbocation in both the cases. And yeah, so both these options are possible. Okay, so both of them will satisfy both the given condition. Both of these molecules, 1 bromopropane and 2 bromopropane, both of them are going to give you equal intensity of 122 and 124 peaks, and also both of them will give you large fragment ion, or you can say the base peak of 43. That you can just do fragmentation here and you will get CH3, CH2, CH2 radical cation. So for this you are going to get that 43. Now that will be similar in this case also. If you remove bromine, you are going to get the same mass over here as well. So option number C is the correct option for this particular given question. All right, let's look upon this question again. This was asked in TIFR 2019. This question is a very famous question. It has been asked in CSIR also. It has been asked in GATE also. So all in all, it is a very famous question asked in a lot of entrance exams, and you should be very good at solving these. So it says carbon 13 NMR spectrums they are asking, which are going to be appear in the two pyranidiols. So you have A Here if you look upon A, there are two plane of symmetry, one plane of symmetry passes through the molecule like this. You can bisect the molecule like this, also you can bisect it like this. So whenever you bisect the molecule using some plane of symmetry, every atom on each quadrant will become equivalent to each other. So if this is A, this will also be carbon of type A. If this is B, this is also B. If this is C, this is also C, and same goes on the other side. So this is A, this is A, this is B, this is B, this is C, this is C. And if this is D type of carbon, this will also be D type of carbon. If this is E type of carbon, this is also going to be E type of carbon. So you are going to get 5 types of carbon in option number A. In option number B, you cannot make two plane of symmetry, but there is a single plane of symmetry present over here. And now if you look upon, so if this is carbon of type A, this is also of type A. If this is of B type, this is also of B type. If this is of C type, this is also of C type. D type, D type, E, E, F, F, G, H, I and J. So that makes it total 10. Okay, so there are 10 types of carbons in this particular molecule. So overall, your option number D is correct. Option A having 5 types of carbon, option B having option number C is correct, right? Yeah. So you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So you have 10 types of carbon in this. So this is how this particular question will be done. Let's go to the next one. Okay, here in this question it says कि organic compound C9H10O3 exhibit the following spectral data. IR is given to you as 3400 and 1680 centimeter inverse. Proton NMR is given to you 7.8, and these are the values. There are J coupling as well which is happening. So let's look upon that later on. And it is given one hydrogen singlet which is D2O exchangeable, and then you have 3 hydrogen singlet, 3 hydrogen singlet, and what is the compound? Okay, so whenever you get something like this, remember that D2 exchangeable, just look upon D2 exchangeable first of all. That is going to be because of your that D2 exchangeable is going to be because of NH2 group or because of OH group. So either NH2 group is present or OH is present. Now because this is because of the reason of one hydrogen, so NH2 cannot be the condition. OH is there in the molecule, so you have some OH molecule, so that makes option number 3 cancelled out. Yeah, so you have OH. Now the next thing which we have to look is IR. IR is giving you, this is not in the, this is 3400 for the OH peak, we all know that, and 1680 is for the ketone group. Now if you see, you have two functional groups in the molecule. You have either ester or you have ketone, and since ester gives you peak at 1735 or 1740, so that cannot be the case. Okay, and since this ketone is conjugated ketone because of this ring, that's why the frequency has decreased. It's not at 1715 but it is decreased. So 1680 centimeter inverse IR is for your alpha beta unsaturated ketone, okay, or conjugated ketone. So that goes something like this. If you have alpha and beta position, if you have double bond, just like here alpha and beta position, you have double bond. So yeah, that is what making the frequency lower down. Conjugation always decreases frequency, so that's why option number D is correct. You can simply do it. If you want to assign the values, you can simply do that by just by giving all the values over here. So OH peak I already gave you, this will be 5.8 ppm. Then you have these two are coupling with each other, right? 7.8 and 7.0, so this will be like 7.8, this will be 7.0, these two hydrogens. Okay, then talking about this hydrogen, this is one hydrogen singlet giving you at 6.5 ppm. This OMe is this 3 hydrogen singlet giving you, okay, there are three these are the 3 hydrogen singlet, but 3.9 is for OMe group, right? 3.9 over here, and this is at 2.3. so I have just assigned all the chemical shifts for the given hydrogens in the molecule. You can just look upon it and you can take that reference whenever similar question is asked to you. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next question is from TIFR 2017 exam. It says कि organic compound has the following spectroscopic properties. Mass spectrometry M by Z is 102, which is very small. 87 and 43 are the largest ions. Proton NMR is 1.4 and 3.9 ppm. Both singlets, intensity ratio of 3:2. Okay, that is what we have to keep in mind. Then the carbon 13 NMR, there are 3 types of carbons in the molecule, and IR having several absorption band in the 1000 to 1300 centimeter inverse. Watch which is the compound over here. Now that makes sure, like if you look upon the IR and the NMR, especially NMR, you will see that the molecule is of quite symmetrical, right? So you are getting 1.4 ppm and 3.9 ppm, and both of these are like 3:2, right? That means you just have 2 types of hydrogen in the molecule. If you look upon option B, here you have more than 2 types of hydrogen. This hydrogen is of different type, this is of different type, and these are of different types. So obviously you are getting 3 types of hydrogen in option B. You can just simply cancel out. Same, you can cancel out option number C also. Here you will have like A type of hydrogen, B type of, because both of them are in cis and trans to this methoxy group, C type of hydrogen and D type of hydrogen. Again, you can cancel out option number D as well. Option number A and option number D are the probable or the best contestant for the question. Now if you see here, this is like CH3 CH3, and here again you have CH3 CH3, and here it is like CH2 CH2, and here again it is CH2 and CH2. Now if you see, the ratio is like 6:4, which is basically 3:2 in both the places, right? 3:2 is the ratio. So that means NMR now cannot help you to solve it further, but the chemical shift will help us. As you can see that 3.9 ppm is for the one which is having the intensity of the 2. That means lesser number of hydrogen wherever, or which carbon is having lesser number of hydrogen, it is attached to more electronegative group. That's why it is more downfield or higher chemical shift value. Here you will see that the methyl group is attached to oxygen, here CH2 group is attached to hydrogen. So lesser number of hydrogen containing carbon is attached to oxygen in option number A, which makes option number A as correct. Option number D is not correct, because if option number D would have been correct, the 3.9 ppm would have been given to 3:2, so it will be like 3.9 ppm corresponding to the 3 intensity height, and like 1.4 corresponding to the 2 intensity height. So that is the reason, and that's how we can do. Talking about the different absorption IR band, so they correspond to the different CH stretchings and CO stretching which you are going to get in the molecule. All right, and of course we have 3 types of carbons in both the options, so carbon is not going to help you in any way. And regarding M by Z, so you can just do the fragmentation and check it out which one is coming out. All right, so that is how this question is to be done. Simply this is how you have to approach this question. Okay, let's go to the next one then. All right, so the next question here says that the compound with molecular formula of C5H12O2 has a strong IR band in the range of 3300 to 3400. Proton NMR spectrum shows 3 singlets at 0.9, 3.45 and 3.2 with the relative areas as 3:2:1. All right, so that means we have like 3 types of hydrogen. Addition of DTO to the sample eliminates the lower field signal. That means this one is lower field signal. All right, so that means lower field means downfield, so this peak is going out if you are making D2O to that. So that means this is because of that OH group. Okay, the carbon 13 NMR shows 3 signals all higher than 100 ppm. Fine, that is true. So which of the following is correct? So the best way to solve these types of question, whenever the answers are given in the form of like name, IUPAC name, so it's best to make the molecule. So 1,5-pentane diol is going to be made something like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just make OH here. So 1,5-pentane diol. 1,3-dimethoxypropane will be like CH2, 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 and 1,3-dimethoxy. So this is like OCH3 this side and OCH3 this side. So this is what it is. Option number C is 2,2-dimethyl 1,3-propane diol. So that is going to be like CH, like let us make it like this, CCC. We have propane, and 1,3-diol means OH and OH, and 2,2-dimethyl means 2 methyl groups here. Yeah, this is what we have here. And option number D is 2,4-pentane diol, so that makes it like CH2, CH2, okay, CH2 pentane diol, right? And that is 2 and 4. So CH, OH, CH3 and CH. Okay, fine. I just made a mistake, sorry about that. So we have to make it like 1 2 3 4 5, second position OH, fourth position OH, and yeah, let's make it. Yeah. This is what we are going to get. Now you have to now justify the options. So first thing is that 3300 to 3400, that means the molecule has OH group. This is quite evident, okay? So OH group should be there. So that is just going to cancel out option number B, because that has methoxy group, no OH is present. So just cancel that out. Okay, now looking upon the hydrogen, so there are three types of hydrogen if you see the molecule properly. And if you look upon option number A, here how many types of hydrogen you have? So CH2, 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 CH2 and CH2. So here you will have these hydrogen of type A and A, these will be of type B and B, type C and C, and type D. You will get four types of hydrogen, which is not as per the given options or given condition. Option number C is the one which is going to have three types of hydrogen. Even option number D, if you go, how many types of hydrogen you have? So type A, type A, type B, type B, type C, and type D. So again it has four types of hydrogen. Cancel out this. The option which has the subsequent or the given number of hydrogens and which satisfies everything is option number C. Let's now look upon the chemical shifts. Now if you see, there are three types of hydrogen. These methyl are going to give you one peak, these CH2 are going to give you the second peak, and these OH are going to give you the third peak, which is of the intensity 1. So they are having 3.20 ppm. Okay, so 3.20 ppm is for the OH group. CH2 groups, since they are attached to oxygen directly, so they will have relatively higher chemical shift. So 3.45 is the chemical shift for them, 3.45. What about these methyl groups? Since they are not near to any electronegative group, so they will be 0.9 ppm. Okay, 0.9 ppm will be the value for them. And since carbon 13 NMR are also giving you 3 peaks, so that means 3 types of carbon. So yes, we have that. So everything is satisfied with option number C, and that makes this option as the correct option for this particular question. Alright, I hope you understood. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is a very good question. It says that there is a diagram which is given to you in which a protein and a drug are interacting, and it says that NMR spectroscopy can be used to assay for drug binding to certain protein targets. One of the primary objective of any binding assay is the quantification of the free and the bound form of the drug molecule at certain concentration of the protein target. Let us assume that the fully bound drug exhibit a proton NMR chemical shift of delta A, while that of the free form resonates at delta B for the same proton. If the exchange time scale, that is proportional to K off and K on, is diffusion limited between the free form and the drug and its bound form is in microseconds, right? So which of the following statement cannot be true, assuming that the drug is only 50% bound to its protein target? Now these type of questions are called as comprehensive questions, where you have to read everything very carefully, and each and every line will help you to go near to the correct answer. All right, so I'll explain you how you can how you can do this particular one. All right, now understand the question. That first thing which you should know is that they are asking that which statement cannot be true. All right, so you have to tell the one which is not going to be true. Now which NMR they are looking upon? They are looking upon the NMR which is of this proton, okay, which is bound to the drug. Now here the drug is free, it's in the free form. Okay, this you can say that it's in the free form. So here its delta is going to be delta A as per the question, that the bound drug, okay fine, not the free one, so I am doing mistake here. So as per the given question, that the fully bound drug exhibit proton chemical shift of delta A. This is in the bound state. Okay, this is the bound state. Bound means it is bound with the protein. So here its delta is delta A, while that of the free form resonated delta B. So here it is delta B, right? Now it says for same proton. Okay, you can see in the figure. Exchange time scale is very small, it's in microseconds. So that means from the free form to the bound form, it is exchanging again and again, and that is being done in microseconds. So in microsecond, it is converting from this free form to the bound form, then again to the free form. Okay, now let's look about the statements one by one. The statement A says that the NMR line width of the observed transition will be different from the free form of the drug. Okay, so that means ki the line width of the observed transitions will be different from the free form of the drug. So the free form of the drug is going to give you a different width, whereas the one which is in the bound or which is doing the transition, that is going to give you a different peak. That is correct, right? Because the chemical shift will change as it is going to bound. It's very obvious that here the chemical environment is different, here the chemical environment is different, and while doing this transition, any intermediate if it is present, that is also going to be in a different chemical environment. So everything will have different chemical shift, different line width. So this is a correct statement. I am just making correct, that means it's a correct statement. Okay, let's look upon our statement number B. It says there will be two resonance obtained in the NMR spectrum of the protein drug complex, one for the free form while other for the bound form. Okay, let's leave this statement for now. Let's go to the next one. It says we will see a single resonance at position of mu effective, which is in between of delta A and at delta B. So let's leave this statement also, because these two are opposite of each other. Statement number D says that varying the concentration of drug molecule while observing the NMR signatures will provide an estimate of the binding constant. Now that is true. How to find out the binding constant means how it is binding, how you will do that, or basically how this experiment will be done in laboratory. They are going to change, or they are going to increase the concentration of drug slowly, and they are going to plot the concentration of drug, means how much drugs they have taken on the x-axis. So they are going to plot concentration versus the chemical shift, okay, and they are going to get some peak like this, and somewhere it is going to get saturated. Okay, so yeah, they are going to get different values, and that is going to change over here. So this point or this concentration will be the concentration of drug that will be required to make the binding possible, or at here the binding is maximum. Okay, so that's how the binding constant and other things are being calculated. So varying the concentration of drug molecule while observing the NMR signatures is going to provide the estimate of binding constant. It is also a correct statement. Now among option B and C, what you have to understand is in the solution you are going to, okay, from the solution you are going to make NMR tube. Okay, so and in that you are going to fill your solution, right? Now in this solution you have both, you have like free form also, and you have the bound form of drug also. Okay, so you have drug in the both the forms, and when you are going to put it in the NMR tube, in that case also you will have both these, free form of the drug and the bound form of the drug both. Now when you are going to record the NMR spectrum, you will not get two different peaks, because since the change from the free form to the bound form is being done in in microseconds, so that means this free form is not existing and neither this bound form is existing in the solution. They are continuously changing among each other as per the given question, and that's why you are going to see a single resonance at a mu effective. Okay, so that's what will be option number C. So wherever resonance comes, wherever there is a change between the two structures, the NMR instrument, and if the change is very fast, it's being done in microseconds, so the instrument will not be able to detect both of them separately, and that's why you are going to get a single resonance at the position of mu effective, which is going to be in between of, delta effective, which is going to be in between of delta A and delta B. Now why statement B is incorrect? It says that there will be two resonance obtained in the NMR spectrum of the protein drug complex, one for the free form, other for the bound form. That is not going to happen, and this is the answer, because they have asked to find out the incorrect, right, or the statement that cannot be true. So you have to mark option B. Now why it is incorrect? Because of the fact that I just told, it is a very fast conversion. One more thing which you have to understand is this would have been correct statement if this exchange time scale would not have been so small, it would have been little longer. In that case option number C would have been correct, and B would have been so B would have been possible, and C would be the statement which could not have happened. So it depends upon the time scale in which you are doing the things. All right, I hope you understood. It's a quite comprehensive question. Read about it once again, and yeah, you will definitely get it. Alright, let's take the last question for this particular video. It says that the compound with the formula C5H12 gives one signal in the proton NMR and two signal in the carbon 13 NMR. Now this question I am giving you as a homework. You guys have to try this and tell me in the comments below. Okay, comment down below what is your answer for this. So it's a pretty simple question. It's very simply given that proton NMR peak, you are just getting one signal in that, and in the 13C NMR you are getting two signals. Draw these molecules, see the one which is going to give you one signal in where all the hydrogens are equivalent, and see the molecule where all the carbons are not equivalent. There are two types of carbon. Draw this and tell me in the comments. I'll be waiting for you guys, and I'll be waiting to see the answer from you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Also, you can comment down below which topic you want me to cover in the next video. I'm planning to bring up more of physical chemistry topics now. So yeah, let's see which will be the next one. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Till then, have a great day. Bye bye. Take care. Hey guys, so I teach live on Unacademy Plus platform. Here I teach for the CSIR UGC NET category, and you can follow me over here for regular classes. You can access my free classes as well as my paid classes on this particular platform. The classes which are free, you can get that under the section of special classes, whereas in order to access my paid classes, paid live classes, you have to take Unacademy Plus subscription. So do make sure that you take the Unacademy Plus subscription to access all my paid classes, which are quite organized. The whole syllabus is being completed over there, and the classes are quite regular over there. So make sure that you take Unacademy Plus subscription by using my referral code, that is N_Huda. That's it for this. Thank you so much.